God was able to perform this in the forest. And then Hatsu. The release. They're really drilling the principles here. Yeah. It should be a good showcase of Nen, essentially, right? It's a great approach. Yeah, he's got it going, of course. Oh yeah, that's Nen all right. Okay, gone. You've got a knack for thinking on your feet. Oh yeah. Just like Hisoka does with the cards. Yeah, like the card. So, an attachment? Compatible? Again, Hisoka's cards. A bit of as-you-know dialogue, but understandable given the nature of this demonstration. Ah, he's got to make a choice, right? Unless he can master doing both at the same time. So as long as it's in the ring. Ah, okay. They just kind of need a target to latch onto. Kind of like Beyblade? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But hold on. Careful. Beautiful. Oh. Damn, man, Gon is getting lit up. As expected, really, right? Even he himself kind of expected this in the last episode. This feels a bit more natural. He knows Zetsu. He'll pick it up at some point. I think he could do it much quicker than that. Just to prolong the match. Oh, he's dropping it. Reckless. There's our reckless Gon again. Zetsu. Oh, he's done it. Quite the risk he's taken here. A beast, you say? Raw talent, yeah. Potential. He made the choice. One or the other, right? Yeah, he made the choice. Sounds about right. Sounds about right. Oof. Oh, look at him go. Nice. This is good practice. Risky, man. Super risky, though. Reckless. Ah. Ooh, there's that twitch, that urge. Ah, okay, it's doing the whole. Let's skip. He could get it done earlier, quicker. This still comes from a place of love, though, from his heart. The fear of potentially losing God. Oh, he mad. He's mad. He is sensei after all. Oh. Yeah? Yeah? Exactly, yeah. He's got a responsibility. A duty of care, right? He's gotta be harsh? He's always on your side. Fair, fair, understandable. It's gotta be done. He's gotta accept it, yeah. So if you ever have thoughts in this 2 months. Ooh, interesting writing. This should be interesting. I mean, Gon has a clear one. Yeah. Oh yeah. He has an understanding for his friend at this point. Oh, now it's taking me back, okay. Oh. Oh yeah, that'll do it. There's no Nen or Ren at that point. Exactly. Precisely. There's a distinction. Made a mistake? Yeah, they know about it. Ah, trying to give him a pass. Interesting. Yeah, interesting choice, isn't it? He's already at it. The score. There's... Oh. Open Pandora's box. I like how they're showing both of them, but he's speaking of Gon. He's gotta be. And who's his master? Oh.
どういうことだ? 自力でこの斡旋所見つけたくらいだから頭が切れることは認めるよ。大切なお客にあんたを紹介するわけにはいかないね。経験不足とか言うつもりはないわ。ちゃんとハンターライセンスは持っていると言ってるだろう。だけどあんたの試験はまだ終わっちゃいない。
Okay.
見ればわかる。なんだと？何が見える？私の横にさ。
Ah, Nen user. No, he can't.
何も見えないでしょ。
No, not yet. The exam is not done yet.
見えるようになったらもっぺんおいでよ。
Ah, look at that. The bare minimum. Look at this tonal shift, though.
何が見えないというのだ。
I'm sure he'll find out somehow. Oh, he just did something. There's like a quick animation there. Who's this? Who's this? It's moody. It's dreary. I like it. Okay, he's noticed. Yeah, you're being tracked. Who is this? Oh, beautiful. Is that an acorn? Oh, that's Nen. Who the hell is this guy? That's okay. That quick movement that happened. Come on, Kurapika. Get it together. Interesting that he feels the need to bring it up to him. This is quite the reintroduction to Kurapika. Especially the tone of it. Okay, this is not a chance encounter. It can't be. Ooh. Yeah. Isn't that old? That's not a chance encounter. No chance. Okay. So I'll stick around for this post-outro segment. Yeah, so there's a possibility that even Wing is not a chance encounter. Cute. The Hunter Agency. Yeah. He sure did, but he was lacking. Okay, let's get into it, folks, as I get the return of Kurapika. And yeah, you know, if you compare it to Gon and Killua's story at the moment, it's quite the tonal shift, isn't it? You know, I was really kind of getting this feeling of punished Kurapika out there, right? That, you know, it's not fun and games for Kurapika. You know, I'm not trying to diminish Gon and Killua's I don't know, story at the moment at all, but you know, if you compare the two, yeah, you know, it almost feels like night and day. The path Kurapika's on, quite a lonely path, and this feeling of him being on this lonely path is not something that is new to him, right? You see that by the end of it, and it's a quick segment, you know, the return for Kurapika, but you see by the end of it, after he you know, essentially catches a beatdown by this drifter, right? This drifter who just happens to come into Kurapika's life right as he's beginning to learn about Nen, the existence of Nen, right? I mean, at that point, he didn't even know it's Nen, right? He just knew that there is something that is considered the bare minimum before he can actually even be hired or recommended to clientele, right? Through this hunter agency. And of course, post the post episode segment, the Hunterpedia, it's a cute segment. I mean, it essentially reiterates that, even finding the place itself, the hunter agency, is quite the task, right? You need to be quite sharp to come across it. And of course, the lady there, the Nen user, the Nen practitioner, tells Kurapika as much. You must be quite sharp if you can locate this place. And it's located in, I don't know, quite a strange location, right? For something of that ilk. And again, it certainly feels like it might be by design as well. But yeah, Kurapika was certainly able enough to find it. But, there's a bit of a disconnect at this point, right? He simply does not even know, or did not even know up until that point, that he doesn't quite even qualify to be recommended, right? Because of the absence of, again, something that is considered the bare minimum, right? Here by the end of this episode, it is really, really quite clear. They're essentially telling us at this point, Nen is the final phase of the exam, right? It's been this open secret almost for the past few episodes at this point, right? And it's been up to us, the audience, to kind of infer, okay, this whole concept of the continuing exam is Nen, right? Learning Nen. Yeah, that's up next for Kurapika. That makes 3 of them now. Though, let's not forget that Killua isn't really a licensed hunter. So that might have been yet another reason, initially at least, that Master Wing might have had a moment of hesitation, that he might be teaching Nen to someone that's not even a hunter. But, that being said, you have people like Hisoka, who was not a hunter, right? Officially, at least. He certainly had all the capabilities, the capacity to pass the hunter exam. But up until recently, he didn't actually have the official license itself. But he's quite the tremendous Nen user, right? He's a master Nen user. And then you have Illumi as well, right? So it's not something that is set in stone that you have to take that path, right? Become a hunter, get your hunter license, and then you learn Nen, right? And you see that it's kind of hard to ignore or hard to miss at this point, that for at least 3 out of the 4 of them up until this point, the idea of Nen, or getting to learn about Nen, the principles of Nen and all of that, it just kind of came to our boys. I mean, it's really quite clear in Kurapika's encounter with this drifter that, again, it is not a chance encounter. It's just not. To me, it essentially felt like that this man was out there for Kurapika, that he was meant to come across him, right? That it was his goal to come across him. And yeah, he gives him a bit of a lesson, quite easily just snatched his hunter license. So, Kurapika, he was kind of caught sleeping a bit, right? Because at that point, he was kind of lost to his thoughts and just kind of lost track of his surroundings. And that is really quite unlike Kurapika, isn't it? But ultimately, Kurapika finds himself in the same boat now, right? As Gon and Killua, he also has a sensei, a teacher, right? His introduction to Nen. Now, to me, it's beginning to feel like that these might be, I don't know, maybe not examiners, not official examiners associated with the Hunter Association, but they might be hired by them, right? And I'm saying they because I'm kind of including Master Wing. So even though, it is quite secretive, clearly the Hunter Association, because of the continuing exam aspect of it, is making it so, the new hunters, essentially the newly licensed hunters, the ones that need it at least, are getting, I don't know, an introduction to Nen through some of these people. And a few episodes ago, before I get into the Heavens Arena arc, in the conclusion of that episode, you see that there is a strong possibility that they are still being tracked. It's Gon and Killua, and that lady just walks up, right, in the frame, and then walks out. She's on the phone with someone, right? So to me, it immediately kind of felt like, okay, she could be a tracker here from the Hunter Association. But the thing is, up until this point, the encounter with Wing actually did feel like a chance encounter. It felt really natural, right? That it just happened. Because up until this point, I had no reason to believe that it wasn't a chance encounter, right? But now, now after seeing the scene of the Drifter just run into Kurapika at that exact moment, and for this exact reason, now I have reason to believe that none of this is really by chance. Because listen, if this Drifter coming across Kurapika is actually a chance encounter, and it is just perhaps a lucky moment for Kurapika, maybe the universe giving Kurapika a helping hand, right? Then I must be quite critical if it turns out like that, right? Because that would be so contrived if it did play out in that manner. But yeah, Kurapika, really love seeing him again. Really, I've missed him, and I've certainly missed Leorio as well. And that's our last guy in the group, right? He is a licensed hunter at this point, so he needs to learn Nen. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes about it, right? I'm sure he'll have his own, I don't know, encounter. Someone that might be, a bit of a master of Nen might come into his life somehow. Though, of course, Leorio is essentially just studying at the moment. But alongside studying, there is that possibility of him also being introduced to Nen already off screen at this point. And I touched upon this idea of Kurapika's lonely path, right? Since the loss of his clan, since he's kind of really established his goal in life since then, right? His pursuit of the Phantom Troop. Kurapika has never begrudged his friend's abilities, right? Be it Killua or, Gon specifically is one that he's really connected with and he respects and, wants to look out for. He's never been envious, right? But here, once again, it's reiterated that he wants to become stronger for himself because Kurapika firmly sees it as his fight and his fight alone, right? He's not trying to bring his friends into it. He's not expecting it to become someone else's fight. But yeah, it's fantastic to have him back. And I'm sure he'll excel as a Nen user. I'm sure he'll be able to pick up on a lot of the basics quite easily, I think. Quite effectively. But I do have questions about people like this new Drifter teacher that came into Kurapika's life. People like Master Wing, right? Their past. Their own masters. Because Master Wing actually mentioned his own master, right? And, it came at really quite the interesting moment. And the mention of his master is around the time he is having a bit of a moment, right? It's a bit of concern, but there's also excitement, right? You can see that, and there's even that frame of him, right? It's a tight shot of him. There is a semblance of a smirk on his face as well. It is exciting. It is because, beyond having a bit of concern and that really, really, interesting line of dialogue, right? I believe it's something like, Master, I may have awakened a tremendous beast or an incredible beast, right? And then, of course, it's transitioning to or cutting to moments of Gon earlier from the episode, right? And then, of course, it's showing Killua as well, because, right now they kind of come as a duo, don't they? But, again, my initial thought was that, yeah, he is referring to Gon in that moment. But yeah, it's not as if Killua isn't showing some monstrous potential as well, right? Wing senses that in him as well. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. But it's Gon specifically that has him or had him a little bit concerned. So even though naturally there is a bit of concern from his side, you can also see that the opportunity to teach these two is essentially one that is, I don't know, once in a lifetime, essentially, right? He knows it. He knows this is special. These two are special. So he simply cannot resist the opportunity to teach such exceptional kids, right? So yeah, also I mentioned his master. Who the hell is his master, right? It's got to be someone who is quite impressive, right? At the least, it's got to be someone that's really damn impressive, actually. But yeah, this episode certainly reiterates why caution is recommended before educating, right? And then moderation in teaching as well. But let me shift the focus to Killua, or at least this emergence of the protective side of Killua in this episode, right? It's just really nice to see, isn't it? Right? Because if you go back to that phase of the exam, right, that episode, the final phase of the exam, he did have a moment. He did have a moment at that point. Perhaps there was a hint of jealousy at that point. There was that, notion of him kind of having a bit of self-doubt, right? And this is around the time that, Gon and Hanzo are the two highest rated. He had a moment. But you see here that any I don't know, ideas or notions of any form of jealousy has just completely dissipated altogether. You truly see just how supportive he is of Gon at this point, right? Master Wing actually gives him a chance to continue his, I almost said research, to continue his training alongside Zushi back at the lodge. But no, he's going to hold off until Gon is back in business as well himself, right? And there's a really fun moment there as he tells Sensei that that he was told that Gon should be up and running again in 2 months, that his injuries should take 2 months to heal up. Right, so he did him a solid there. Of course, he's looking out for his boy as well. And us, the audience, knows that it's never going to take, or it was never going to take Gon 4 months to begin with anyways, in terms of actually completely healing. Just how quickly this kid can bounce back from injury and setbacks, right? He's built different. He is, right? Killua understands that Gon has the tendency to lose sight of everything else once he is in the zone, right? So it's good to have that perspective. Right, you don't need these two characters to be exactly the same. You don't want them to be carbon copies of each other. Right now it's striking the perfect balance. Right, they are the perfect duo at the moment because they complete each other. They really do, don't they? It's beautiful to see them together, to grow together, right? To have these experiences together. I love it. I love it for them, and I love it for Killua, right? That he gets to do this, that he gets to have this close friend. Right. And, him being separated from Gon, and, having to go back to, the Zoldyck residence, going back home, essentially, it actually kind of reiterated for him as well that he truly cares for this person, that, he wants to be friends with him, that he wants to experience things with him specifically. And even though Killua is having to go at Gon after, the end of that fight and, the resulting injuries and all of that. And again, let's make it clear, rightfully so. Right, he's been a good friend at that point because, of course, Gon has this, stubbornly fearless attitude about him, right? That he can be moronic, but like I said during the episode, it comes from the heart, right? He's having to go at him because he cares about him, right? He was incredibly reckless out there, and to me, there's this notion of, the fear of losing Gon as well, someone he again really cares for at this point. Right. And, even this notion of being so supportive of Gon as well, you kind of go back to that final phase of the exam as Gon is knocked out cold, right, by Hanzo and completely misses the whole Illumi and Killua encounter. There, Killua felt so helpless that at that point, if his older brother, Illumi, actually did want to go after Gon, that he could do nothing about it, right? He was just so completely helpless at that point. So I think that actually does play a part in his pursuit of Nen from a few episodes ago, right? Him kind of deciding to pivot his goal from just trying to make some cash into, pursuing Nen. So he never finds himself that helpless ever again. And sure, there's other elements to it as well, getting an equal footing with his older brother perhaps as well. That's certainly a part of it. But going to the opening of the episode, I thought it was a great showcase for Nen, right? It was certainly set up in that manner in the conclusion of the last episode. And I loved how it was kind of presented as a chance for Master Wing to kind of explain step by step, or explain it step by step to Zushi as well. Because, Zushi, of course, is quite the diligent student, right? And he is looking at it. It's quite the experience for him as well, isn't it? And even though some of that dialogue is certainly there, it is present, I think it is forgivable at this point. Because essentially it was a showcase, right? I knew it and I understood that it is going to be a showcase for Nen, and this opportunity is going to be used to explain a lot of it, or at least show the audience once again how Nen functions, right? So I think this is only scratching the surface at this point, right? I think it's going to escalate. That it is going to get a bit more complicated as well at some point, as far as the incorporation of Nen technique. But ultimately, Gon makes the choice to drop his 10 altogether, right? And that, of course, is quite the concerning moment for people like Killua in the crowd as well. And then, of course, Master Wing. And then, of course, Gon's almost innate capacity for Zetsu is showcased. And I love how Master essentially comes to the conclusion that he must have learned it tracking some kind of incredible beast or another target. And yes, it takes me back to that moment on the island as he is tracking Hisoka. And under immense pressure, he was able to tap into it, right? I remember Hisoka was really quite impressed by him. But also, let's not forget that he grew up, tracking animals of all kinds, beasts of all kinds. So, that in itself certainly helped in that moment on the island as well. And of course, speaking of Hisoka, he's there, right? He's there, he's watching, and he had this moment, this bit of a twitch, this urge to get in there, right? But he knows now is not the time, that he must be patient, that he has to let Gon do his thing. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access to the next few episodes right now, or perhaps even timer-based full length, or maybe full opacity, consider checking out the Patreon page. The links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for episode 31. Until then, take it easy.